Well, it's summer, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, and that means campfires, mosquitoes, s'mores, and durable learning if you're a learning geek. We're going to jump in with the Durable Learning Summer Camp on this episode of the Learning Geeks podcast, starting now. Hello, boys.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, happy summer.
Happy summer. It feels like it's been forever since we recorded a podcast. It's been a while. I mean, we stay in touch pretty much daily on our text chain.
Yeah.
So it's not like I miss you guys, but we haven't actually communicated.
But we don't see each other's faces
We don't.
on the text chat. No.
We don't.
I'm glad you brought that up, Bob, because I feel like to the audience, I wanted to explain some of the reasons why.
You get a rationale away things, Jake? Hey, the floor is yours.
I feel bad because this season we haven't stuck with our cadence, and a lot of that's because of life's been getting away. Bob can probably explain, and Dana can explain.
It's all Jake's fault.
For myself, I've been just super busy with both work and personal, traveling a lot, way more than I have, and to get around to do this has been difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it seemed like yesterday was May.
It does.
I have no idea where June went. Right, but you're like, whew.
Yep.
But now we're into July.
I know.
And I started a new job this year based in a new city. And yes, my other podcast, I've completely let go. I don't think I haven't put out a episode of Short for a Stormtrooper since The Mandalorian released. Which, by the way, Jake or Dana, did you ever see Mandalorian and Grogu?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And our general consensus on it?
I am the worst Star Wars
You
fan
still haven't
ever.
seen it, Jake?
So this is what I'm talking about. My schedule has been that
that's bad.
Like that bad. Where by the time I've been traveling a lot in the last month and a half. So when I get home on the weekend, I have to do my actual home chores like mowing the lawn and everything else. Take your daughters to dance. So I'm at this point, Bob, where honestly I might just wait until it comes out.
Which I think is going to be soon. I thought I saw something about that.
Probably is.
But
yeah.
I'm the worst Star Wars ever, but like at this point, I'm like, I can't. I'm just gonna have to wait.
Yeah, the weekend it came out,
I waited this long.
I just had my sons-in-law say, "Hey, let's go," and they said, "Oh, great, let's go." And we all had a similar feeling that it was okay, but it was not as good as we had expected or had hoped.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons.
Was that your same?
It was fun.
Bob?
To me, it was very similar to Solo. I enjoyed it, but it doesn't have the depth or the
and the
magic of any of the other theatrical. Yeah. Well, the original 6. Let's call it that way. Let's actually call it the original 3.
And I'm going to be honest. I think that's why I haven't one of the reasons. If it was anything else, I probably would have ran in there. Didn't care what I had going on. But I never felt super excited about it.
Yeah.
Never. And it's mainly because I think it's great as a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what it was.
And they could have released that as a TV series, part of the TV series, and I probably would have been more satisfied.
Yeah.
But the build-up.
I love it as a show. Yeah. And so I think the movie thing kind of felt like forced to me.
But it's good. We'll set your expectations low and then you'll like it. That's better.
Have you guys?
Yeah, and that's kind of how I was going to go into it. Low expectations, just have fun with it, and go from there.
So have you guys seen the latest Hugh Jackman movie? Sheep Detectives?
Oh, the Robin Hood?
Oh, no.
No, the Sheep Detectives.
Oh, no, I have not seen either of those.
It's on Prime now, and it's probably, it's weird. I'm trying to figure out who's the target audience for it, because I wouldn't want to show it to my young grandchildren. Yeah. Because it's all about a murder and people dying and people poisoning each other and these sheep solving the thing. But anyway, Hugh Jackman's in it. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is voice for one of the sheep.
I like her as always. She's great. Yeah.
So I can't recommend it either way because like I said, I can't figure out who the target audience was for.
Well, you saying Hugh Jackman,
but I watched it.
Yeah. You saying Hugh Jackman made me think of Broadway, which made me think I was in New York last week and I wound up with an unexpected free night. So I went to see the Stranger Things play, which
how was that?
It was interesting. I would say it it kind of exacerbates a lot of the challenges that the show Stranger Things had, which was the scary parts are really scary and very tense. And then the parts that are kind of the comic relief was a little bit campy. No, not a little bit, way campy and over the top. And because it's like a prequel, it's set in the 60s, it kind of felt like Bye Bye Birdie mixed with Stephen King. And it was a little uneven in that regard. But anyway, you know,
Julie and I did see a production of My Fair Lady at a theater out here called the Hale Center, and it's really the closest thing to Chicago theater that I've seen. This particular theater is really, really good, and it's in the round, and their stage is not only their stage goes up and down and all around, and to me part of the joy of the performance is the way that they're manipulating the stage.
Yeah,
they just have some geniuses who are able to make that once in the round theater the stage crazy.
That's great.
So anyway,
well, hey, you know,
Erica. Well, sorry, one last thing on the play thing. Erica went to Water for Elephants in Chicago and on their Broadway, which is a book, and she said it was one of the best plays she's ever been to outside of Hamilton.
Wow.
She loves that story. It's that she's been reading. Her book list is crazy. How many books she's read already? Speaking of summer, but how many she's read already in summer? It's been a ton.
Well, that's high acclaim. I'm also thinking that right about now, the patron saint of the Learning Geeks podcast and my current boss, Allison Horn, is probably screaming at us going, when are you guys going to stop talking about that stuff?
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
That's why we have chapters, Allison.
You should just title this one, Allison, Skip to Here. Yeah.
Skip.
Yeah.
Skip. Yeah.
Dana,
skip the first 10 minutes.
Dana, I'm going to ask you to tee this up because you're the one who reminded us that this is what we were going to talk about this morning on our text chat. So tell us what you're thinking with the Durable Learning Summer Camp.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to kind of review the research we did. I'm retired, right? So I look for things to do. I was reviewing the research and updating some materials that I'd prepared, and I as I dug into the research, I just thought, this is really solid research. And sometimes we just kind of take it for granted. And it's been a decade since we were kind of put on that path to doing the initial research around durable learning and what makes learning stick. And sometimes we I think it becomes such a part of our vocabulary that we forget the basics. And I thought summer camp might be a good time to go back to the basics. And so the way I'd like to cue it up, and you guys can jump in anytime after I cue it up.
Okay, love it.
The way I like to cue it up is I like to think of durable learning principles as foundational for three particular audiences. One is whoever's preparing and creating materials to be learned from, right? So the instructional design community. The second is whoever is delivering that, or whether it's technology or a facilitator. And then the third is the learner themselves, because these principles have to be alive in all three environments or people in order to make it effective. And what we're talking about is learning that sticks, right? There's the book that we all love about that. Learning that sticks, and what that means is that there are physical changes made in the brain as people are learning something, right? They're creating new neurons, they're making more connected pathways, they're growing and strengthening their brain and particular skills and knowledge. So with those three things kind of spiraling, I don't know where you guys want to start, but do you think just kind of talk about what those 8 principles are first?
I think it's definitely worth.
Start with some examples.
I think it's definitely worth a recap. That would be great, just to remind everybody what it is. I've been living and breathing durable learning principles for the last 5 months, guys. That's what I've been focused on.
So do you want to kind of cue some of them up, and then Jake and I can chime in?
Boy, and then you know what that means is I'm going to have to try to recall them from memory. So,
okay, well,
here we go.
I have my little chart. If this will help, Bob.
Yeah. Okay. I totally can't see that because my internet connection is poor and it's all pixelated. Right. So that's okay.
Well,
I think I can get it, but whenever I try to recite something from memory, I always put myself on the spot. Let me do this.
Yeah.
The principles are, in order to stick, learning experiences should be relevant, contextual, engaging, effortful, generative, social, reflective, and involve spaced practice. I got them all.
That's it.
Bingo.
Yeah, space practice over time. And what we used to tell people was you could read the same things that we read, and they might come up with 9 principles or maybe 7, but these 8 tended to resonate and seem to boil down the research into things that we can more easily communicate.
Yeah. Well, I would say that this structure has been useful to us over the last, how long has it been, Dana? 14 years?
11. So it was 2015 is when I think, Dana, you got requested for that.
Yeah.
And then we started, I think I remember I was personally diving into it in 2016. I think that's when I was doing a lot of the work.
Yeah, because I had that question come up recently here, is somebody was like, well, you've got this structure and there are other structures. Why this one over that? And I was like, you could probably use that one, but this one has been useful for me. And so this is the one I'm sharing. And take what you...
Yeah. Well, so part of what like I said, I dug back into the research and then I continued to read other things that are coming out. And I just got excited because I thought, these things that we put together in this package 11 years ago, thanks, Jake, for that number, they're still relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, they are still the same thing that the research is proving and bringing out. So I know we just kind of rattled off words, but I don't know if we want to dive a little bit into some of them, or maybe some examples that you guys have from what you've been doing.
Well, one just
talk about the example and then how the principles have come alive in them.
One just jumps to mind, which is funny. This is going to prove that we're not scripted right now, because I was listening to us talk and thinking, wow, this sounds like we're going off of a script. It felt very organized and like we were play acting here. We weren't. We're completely going off the cuff, guys, like we usually do.
No.
The one that jumped onto my mind was space practice. And here's the reason why, and here's the story I have to tell, is, as you know, as you guys know, and many of my friends and colleagues here know, is I have really taken a deep dive into the hobby of pinball over the last year and a half or so. And I am, at best, a slightly better than average pinball player. I am not inherently fantastic at it. I just love playing it, but I want to get better. So I have looked at a bunch of YouTube videos and tutorials and everything. And I saw one recently by a guy who I really respected. And he was talking about the routine that he does to, get to a higher level of skill in pinball. And essentially what he was prescribing was hours and hours of blocked practice on a single skill until you've mastered it, and then moving on to the next skill. And I think we know from our research that when you do that, you may get to some level of proficiency, and it might very well be an illusory level of proficiency, because that's probably not sticky. And when you try to come back to it again later, it's not going to resurface and regenerate. And instead, a better principle is space practice, and trying some things for a while and then putting it away and trying something else and then going back to that first thing again later. What that did was it led me to using the online agent that I have built in Claude, which is the BobBot 2000 that has all of my best thinking over a number of years in it. And I said, hey, using the principles of durable learning and do some research on pinball skills and what is required, create for me a curriculum that will help me build pinball skills using the principles of durable learning. And then, because Claude is pretty awesome, I was like, vibe code me an app that I can run on my iPhone that will help me do this and track this. So I've been using it, and I find it to be helpful. And so for a number of different reasons, that's ticking off a bunch of different durable learning principles: effortful for one, engaging for one, relevant because it's relevant to my desire. But the space practice thing is the thing that's really coming back to me.
Yeah, and there's contextual in there because
Sure.
you're actually playing with advice.
Yeah.
There's the social in there because, well, I don't know. Do you go play by yourself,
That's,
or do you go to clubs?
Yeah. I go to the pinball club locally here, And yeah, I've got to know a few people here. I'm not as tight with the people there as I was with my league back in Long Beach, and still am with my league back in Long Beach. But that's forming. But yeah.
So there's a couple of worlds colliding. Did you see the new Lego
pinball? Yes, absolutely. I expect that I will probably get about 75 of those on my 60th birthday, which is upcoming. But yes, I did see that. Yeah. Jake, how about you? Do you have a good example you want to share?
Well, it's kind of funny because when you say space practice, again, I think one of the things of these examples, we can usually tie it to many of the other principles.
Yeah, they're all interrelated.
But one of the examples that I did have in my head, and that is what I am trying to also, I would say learn, practice, but some of it is to recall a lot of skills that I used to have, and that is within woodworking. So recently I finished renovating our bathroom. It was a small bathroom, but I did 90% of the work. I think I had a plumber just there for a little bit, but required flooring work, woodworking, and small plumbing and stuff. But as part of it, as what I like to do is anytime I do a renovation, I like to say, hey, this is an opportunity for me to get a tool or get me something. And so I decided that I'm going to reinvest back into my woodworking tools. I pretty much sold off most of the stuff. When I moved into this current house we've been in 7 years. It's a much smaller garage. I now use that space for lifting, strength training, and anything else. And plus, it hails here, so we got to get the cars in. So I have to keep the space pretty small. So I've made as part of the effort, I said, I'm going to start teaching myself again certain skills. And so we're talking a big space in between from the last time I really was into woodworking and using certain skills. And what I found is that some of it I picked up like a bike again. Like I remembered, I could recall it. And there's others I forced myself to look back at the techniques and try to do something differently than I did before. How to make it more efficient, how to make it more accurate. I tried small things, but as I did that, I found that I learned more, and I felt like even my skills of doing the woodworking was more effective than I ever did in the past. Because I think, again, what I did is I intentionally spotted a couple of techniques that I wanted to try. One of them was around just accuracy and repeatability. Those two things that I wanted to get better in. And I looked at different techniques. I thought about the way I used to do it. And then I tried it, and I felt pretty good. I felt like, oh my gosh, this is actually clicking this time than it never did in my past. So what I decided this summer is I'm going to figure out a couple other techniques that I want to do, some that I may have done in the past, but some of them I've never done before. So that's kind of my goal this year and this summer in terms of durability. But it's going to be kind of the same thing. Look at experts, watch a variety of experts in different methods, and then kind of land on ones that I like, try a couple, and then figure out from there. I can do my own internal feedback. Usually the feedback loop in those cases, hopefully it's not chopping off a finger, but at least it's, you didn't do it right. You didn't put together the piece in 90 degrees or whatever the case could be. But again, I would think that links to many principles, but I would say it does link really strongly to space because it was a long time since I've done it before, but I've realized that it felt to me that I've accelerated my development by recalling what I've done and applying things that I have watched in a new context and brought them together. And I felt like my development has been accelerated on that.
How about you, Dana? You're allegedly retired but not expired. What learning projects have you been engaged in?
That sounds so bad.
It's his words. I'm just repeating it back.
You're not dead, Dana. Thank you for not.
I'm not dead yet.
Monty Python.
Bring out your dead.
That's what you're learning about. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. A lot of my learning since I retired has been in the experiential realm, right, where I go out and experience things. We just had one last week where my brother and his wife were in town, and I'd never been up to the Olympic Park up in Park City. And it's a place where they have the 2002 Olympics, and they're going to have the 2034 Olympics. And so it was a lot of fun to go and watch. They actually run summer camps for kids who are trying to learn how to do ski jumps, and they have ski jumps where they jump and then they twirl once or twice or three times and then splash into the water. And it was fun to listen to the way that they were coaching the kids, and to just kind of watch that whole thing and then think about that. Now I now have kind of a geography of some of the venues in my head that I didn't have before. So anytime someone comes to town to visit, I try to identify something that we haven't done before. There are some things we know are tried and true, and that's great. But then there are other things like, we haven't done that, or here's something I've never known was an option. So a lot of my learning is experiential. The other thing that I've been trying to understand why it's this way, but with my grandchildren, I keep asking Julie, like, so when do they start to develop words? Or when are they out of diapers? And I'm thinking, well, why don't I know that stuff? I mean, we had 3 kids. It's because I was so busy at work and so busy in the community doing volunteer service that Julie's the one who handled all that stuff. But now with Grand's kids, it's almost like I'm learning it for the first time, even though I experienced it. But I'm at a slower pace of life that I can actually, and plus it's spaced learning, right? You have to get back to their parents, and then next week they come and hang out with you. But so I think most of mine is the experiential, and I'm enjoying reflecting on it by writing in my journal after we have some experiences.
So do you find that doing diaper work is not relevant at all, and things that will disengage your brain to not want to do anymore?
I still let Julie do that. Here's the diaper.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Here are the wipes.
Journaling is interesting because I have redeveloped that habit as well. I started that was a New Year's resolution, and I've stuck with it, of writing 750 words every morning. And I find
you're up to that. That's awesome.
I find that sometimes it's reflective and sometimes it's generative. And it just kind of depends on the day. Yeah. It's like either I'm reflecting back on the previous day, or I am generating and working hard on something that is going to be useful for my work or my forward thinking. So that's cool. Yeah.
And when I notice that when I'm committed to journal writing on a regular basis, that I start to think during the day, like, oh, that's journal worthy.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of a way of filing that thing. And then it kind of forces you to reflect on it and come up with a way that you would explain it to someone, because that's what you're doing. You're explaining it to whoever's going to pick up your journal at some point.
Yeah.
And I know I've shared this on this podcast before, but my usage of AI has accelerated my ability to do journaling, but just in a different way. I have to get my thoughts out.
And Claude, write my journal entry for the day. Look at my
how I feel about
it's not like write my stuff.
Talk about cognitive decline.
But that I guess that's one of my points, is that one of the fears, of course, is working with these devices or these tools, and that there is cognitive decline. But I had the moment a couple days ago where I said out loud, like, man, I love having this because I write way more now. I just write. I put my thinking into it, so much of my thinking, and my challenge is how to take those thoughts and get them out in a way that I can tell a story more effectively. And not that I could do it just took me a lot longer. But I find that with journaling or any type of generative exercise is incredibly important. I'm sure you both probably do the same, but sometimes when I hop in the car, I turn off my radio and just think. And yes, I will talk out loud. I don't care. But it's a way to get a lot of what has happened during the day and make sense of it.
I'll do that on my bike ride sometimes, or when I'm out for a walk.
Yeah.
So Jake, you bring up an interesting point, and that is the new technologies that are coming. And I think part of the reason this whole topic came to mind is because there's always something, right? There's a new technology that can distract you because it's easy to crank out a bunch of stuff real fast, or you might get new leadership that isn't quite bought into these principles, and yet we know that they're a valid and important thing. So how do you guys keep focused on durable learning with all of these other things, or maybe how do you leverage the technologies to make sure that we're applying these principles right?
Well, one thing, honestly, the thing that I am still the most excited about for using AI as part of the learning experience right now, for the AI in the hands of the learners, not necessarily the learning practitioners, the content developers. One of the things I'm still the most excited about is the ability to scale role plays and practice conversations and things like that. So that's nailing engaging, that's nailing generative, that's nailing effortful, and a whole bunch of other things. But I have always thought that a role play, the chance to actually practice something in a as close to real life situation as you can possibly get it and then get some feedback on it, was one of the best ways to learn. It's just been so incredibly expensive and hard to scale in the past because you need sparring partners if you're going to do that. So you either need an expert that you're paying to play that part, and we have long dealt with the issue of, okay, if I'm going to bring in somebody to play like a business person, do you pay an actor who is skilled at the idea of pretending to be somebody else realistically, but probably doesn't know enough about the business in the context to do that? Or do you pay somebody who knows the business but can't pull off a good character? We can get to both, and we can do it relatively inexpensively with AI. And so that is something that I continue to focus on and push on. So that's just one example.
And you get personalization.
Absolutely.
Right, for the individual.
Yeah. You could just scale it way up. Whereas before you couldn't do role plays with everybody all the time. Now it's like you could just make it free. At any time, anybody can go and say, hey, I've got a hard call coming up. I want to practice it before I go.
I'll give a shout out to one of my colleagues, Aruna. She's been working in this space for a while around simulations and adding ways to, again, the power of AI is to help you generate things much faster than you ever did, more dynamic, on the fly. But then she's worked a lot on creating an architecture that helps provide the context more effectively, which then could I create a simulation that in general, let's say it's some type of conversational based or something that's very common of like a leadership skill, but there's a contextual layer that can adapt and change based off your specific role, your area that you support. And it's been pretty impressive. It's just amazing sometimes to think back how long that would have taken and how many specific simulations you would have had to create to do that.
How many millions it would have cost.
Right. How much cost, but yeah. But Dana, to your question, kind of, in this age of AI, the thing that popped up when you asked that, and it really is some of the conversations we've had in the past couple episodes with Tessa, and that is on metacognition. And I think that is one of the, if I were to add another durable skill on it, that would probably be the one. I think it's incredibly important that every time you do something, it's very easy for us to to just take the easy path in everything that we've done. And this has been the test of all technologies, not just AI, but in the past, technology is usually there to solve some type of problem and maybe do the job more effectively, efficiently, whatever. Maybe efficiently is probably the better one. But I have realized that it requires me, or at least reminds me, that metacognition is incredibly important. So if I choose to use X, this is how I'm going to go about it. If I'm going to use it for journaling, how do I make sure I'm actually using it for a generative journaling, not necessarily something for it to generate all of my thoughts myself? I think that has reminded me so much of how important that is. And I would say in 2020, when we had that huge disruption with COVID and everyone switching over to virtual, that was a reminder of how important learning skills are. And this is that moment where I think learning skills are incredibly important again. a reminder of why they're important to be intentional and metacognitive.
Hey, I think I hear the bell ringing in the mess hall. I think it's time for
it
dinner,
is about
guys.
time to move on. And yeah, I think we could keep going on this. So I think we've got kind of an agenda for the rest of the summer, which is great.
Great.
A couple other things I want to talk about, which is kind of related to that, Jake, is relevance. It has struck me how often we are using the what's in it for me paradigm to explain how something is relevant to a learner. But the what's in it for me is actually what's in it for the people who are paying for this training, and not what's in it for you as the learner. And the amygdala still continues to tune that out. And, you know, a few other things. Also, just the fact that we spent a lot of today talking about us as learners. I don't think we do. We just touched on this just a little bit. I don't think we do enough as learning practitioners to help our learners become better learners themselves. Yeah. And we have made several successful runs at that, but I think that's something that we need to do across the industry more. So we can talk about that as well.
Yeah. And then what about the people, the facilitators, you know, because if you've got good facilitators, but they say, you know what, we've got 10 minutes left, but we got 20 minutes worth of material, we're going to skip the break, right?
Oh, yeah.
If they understand durable learning principles, they wouldn't do that.
Absolutely.
So,
all right.
Anyway, so we can talk about those other areas.
We'll line them up.
Hey, fun talking.
Super fun. Yeah. And we got a whole episode of Short for a Stormtrooper done without us even knowing it. So that's good. But thank you guys, as always, for being here. Thank you to our listeners for sticking with us. Hopefully you find this helpful and will join us the rest of this journey this summer. And we will be back really soon with another episode of the Learning Geeks podcast. We'll see you then. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.